È lunedì, che umiliazione, andare in fabbrica a servire il tuo padrone, o Juventino, ciucciapiselli, di tutta quanta la famiglia Agnelli. E Juve merda, Juve merda, e Juve merda, Juve merda, o Juventino, ciucciapiselli, di tutta quanta la famiglia Agnelli. All I want for Christmas is you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roma Theory. This is your last match preview before Christmas. What a game we have on Saturday in Turin against Juventus at the Allianz Stadium. And yes, you heard it right from the title. We need to break this curse. I mentioned this last week. This game for us is a game that we could have the best Roma squad of the last millennial against the worst Juve team in history, and we would still manage to lose this game. This game has a lot of horrors. Some of them were fair horrors. Some of them, most of them, I may add, were horrific horrors. Horrific horrors including referees, because that's what Juve does very, very well. And you know what's what's very funny, actually, is that the amount of comments that I saw on Twitter from Juve fans going, oh, Juventus against Roma has begun. Juventus against the referees has begun. Mancini should have been suspended for this game. I'm like, a Juve fan speaking about referees against them is like a porn star saying that they're still a virgin. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. If I hear any Juve fans ever speak about referees, it's like, just shut up, because it's like the last topic you need to speak about. I hate them. We hate them. This is a massive game for everything. I mean, for the rivalry, for the table. This game is massive. This game is massive because it's too important to continue losing in Turin. And that's where I want to start this live stream. I feel like we need to break this curse. Will it be on Saturday? I'm not sure. I can't tell. I don't have the glass sphere in my hand. But it's the time to break the curse. Because just like I said before the Napoli game, and then it did play against me because it proved to be completely wrong. This Juventus team has improved from the beginning of the season, no shadow of doubt. Spalletti is a better manager than Tudor, absolutely. But, you know, it's a weak Juventus team. It's a Juventus team which has a lot of limits, a lot of injured players. Vlahovic is injured. Jonathan David is their main striker and he hasn't clicked one bit. No surprise he'll click against us, absolutely. You know, a lot of players that still aren't and haven't exploded in the way that they should have. In my opinion, belonging to a team that is a better team than you. I always put on paper, I think Juventus are a better team than you. I think on paper they are, which is why I say this game is important, because if you can end, or at least move towards the end of the first half of the season on a +7 table point ahead of them, you would be in a very, very, very handsome position for that Champions League position. I would as far to say that if you miraculously win on Saturday, you've won the first set of your tennis game. You know, let's say that we're playing Australian Open in January. Let's keep it Australian Open themed. Let's say we're playing a Grand Slam, and this Grand Slam game that we're playing is us to qualify for the Champions League. If you win on Saturday in Turin against Juventus, for me, it's the equivalent as going 1-0 in a tennis game, best of 5 sets, in a Grand Slam game, with the objective in this case, keeping it to football, Champions League positioning. It's a massive game. And I think it, just like it played against us with Napoli, I feel like that Napoli game needs to send signals to this team. The approach is massive. The approach is so important. If you set yourself for this game, knowing that you never win in Turin, the Juventus have got a better team than you, you will never win this game. And the history proves this. You will never win this game. You need to go to Turin and do something creative. Do something creative that can make you break this curse. And a game between Spalletti and Gasperini has and screams unpredictability to me. I actually expect quite a 50-50 game, but I expect goals. Something that Juventus away is always like, Juventus away under Christmas is always a 1-0 defeat. I don't know why, but every time we play there we lose 1-0. So every time. I think in 20 years of my life, apart from that game that we won a few years ago, I believe it was during COVID, when Juventus already had won the league, I don't think I've ever seen my team win at the Allianz Stadium, which is very, very serious as a matter of fact. You always lose your direct encounters against them there. We need to break this curse because this season is the season to do so. Apart from Yildiz, I don't think none of the Juventus players stand out to me. Bremer is back, and that's a very big, that's very important for them. And it plays against us because I think Bremer is on his day one of the best centre backs in the league. Of course, we have to play defensively without Evan, who is off to AFCON, so that will pend the defensive balance in their favour. Bremer is very physical, which is why we'll move on to my predicted 11 in a second, but no false nines in this game, especially if Bremer starts. If Bremer doesn't start, Juventus' defense is very vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable. We've seen this in the Champions League this season. We've seen this in the league. I mean, without Bremer, Juventus lose their light post in defense. But I saw that Bremer got subbed in the last 20 minutes of their Bologna game, which I think, by the way, was one of the best games that Juventus have played definitely in the last solar year. That was their best game. You can tell that the players are starting to ingrainate in Spalletti's mechanisms. Spalletti's mechanisms, similar to Gasperini's mechanisms, take time. Spalletti, I mean, there is no, apart from acknowledging the fact that he's a good manager, because he is a good manager. He's had his negative experiences with the Italian national team, but he's a great manager. Spalletti is one of those that changed Italian football. But as always, on a human level, he's one of those that if you ever meet on the street, you're gonna slap him. You would slap him. And Italy has got a lot of these managers. I would also include Gasperini in it on a human level if he wasn't a Roma manager. But I think Gasperini's evolved also with the atmosphere and the environment that he's in. I see him less moany, less moody. At Atalanta, he was way more. You get the point. But Spalletti, testa di cazzo, we would say in Italian. I think the key to this game for me is wing backs. I think what makes you win this game on either side, Juventus or Roma, is wing backs, speed. And I look at Wesley, and I've been naming Wesley a lot in the last period because I am understanding the importance of that player. Wesley is the player that can win you this game, because this game will be won in two positions, on the wing backs and in the middle. And I see two duels between two very similar, almost reflected players. I think Thuram and Manu are very similar players, and I think Locatelli and Cristante are very similar players. Unlike Napoli and unlike Inter, I would not say that we've got a worse midfield than them. Against Inter and Napoli, you do. The Napoli and Inter's midfield, one of the reasons why you lost both of those games is because you lost all the duels in the midfield against them. I think against Juventus, you're not worse than them. I think Manu's better than Khéphren Thuram. Khéphren Thuram scores more goals. He's got that killer instinct more. He's got a bigger killer instinct than Manu Koné. But I take Manu Koné all day. Biased aside, even in the French national team, Deschamps prefers Koné over Thuram. And Call me crazy, call me biased. I will allow you to call me biased and crazy, but I pick Cristante over Locatelli as well. So I would actually, and you know me, if you've been following a lot, you know that I'm honest when it comes to these things. When we face better teams, I say it and I point out the dangers. Against Juventus, I think their biggest dangers don't come in the middle. I think you're better than them in the middle. The dangers that Juventus poses, for me, are on the two offensive wingers. Because I think Zigroa, if he plays, is unbelievable. I don't understand why he doesn't start. Zigroa would start on our team every day. And the other one is Ildiz, of course. So it's those players that I think can win Juventus the game. And if they do win, I can guarantee you there will be one of those players that makes it win. But look, we need to go there. I do not want to see another Napoli performance. I want us to go there knowing that it's time to end this curse. I want to see it. I want to see a reaction in big games. Because up to now, we're in a position where you win against Bologna, Como, and the rest, Lazio. These three teams you've all won. You won against Lazio, you won against Bologna, and you won against Como. Against the minor teams, in general, you win. You win against them. Okay, you can have that slip-up day, but that slip-up day is part of every team. You lost against Cagliari, you played terrible, you lost against Torino. It was part of the process. But generally speaking, you win those games. Now you need to make that third step. Winning these games. Do I think Juventus is at the level of Milan, Inter, Napoli? Absolutely not. But going to Turin is a big game. And going to Turin at the Allianz Stadium, for me, belongs to that category of big, big games. Maybe Juventus at home, at time of speaking, belongs to the same category as Lazio, Bologna, and Como. But Juventus away is a big test. Juventus away is a test where every time something goes wrong, whether it's referees, whether it's our own mistakes, every single time something up there goes wrong. And you need to end this curse. You need to end this curse with a manager, with who better manager than somebody who beat them 4-0 in Turin last year. I'm not comparing the situations. Juventus was living a dramatic situation back then. Gasperini had his Atalanta team. But, you know, this manager knows how to win in Turin. Something that these players have a mind block when it comes to. But yeah, I think Spalletti and Gasperini against each other will provide show. It will provide. I don't expect a boring game. I mean, I expect a complete opposite game. A few years ago, this game was between Mourinho and Allegri. I was in Turin with my father. It was like the 30th of December. It was freezing cold. 8-hour drive to Turin to watch the game. Mourinho, it was one of his last games for Roma. Jose against Allegri, 1-0 Rabiot, and it was like the most closed game ever. There was no space, there was no tempo. It was like low block against low block. Whoever exploits one set piece wins the game, and then Juventus managed to win it. I expect a very opposite game from that one. I'm not gonna define it as open as the Como game was on Monday, because I don't think we will go to Turin that open, especially with Ildiz and Zigrova up front. But you get the point. I expect a spark, and I want to see a spark. My predicted 11, my fellow Romanistis, is this. Evan is such a heavy miss. I will never stop saying this, because it's such a heavy miss. I think to recover from it, Celik drops down, Mancho plays central, and Hermoso plays on the left. Other scenarios, I can see Cristante drop down, and I can see Pisilli start in the middle, but I don't think it will happen in this game. Or I can see... I mean, that's pretty... Oh, yeah, I can see Gilardi or Ziolkowski get more minutes, but, you know, Saturday's game is too important that one of those two players can easily slip up. So I want that to be our defensive line, and I'm almost convinced that it's going to be that one. Celik coming back from his suspension. Wesley to play in the original side. I think on that side he's better. Also with that link up with Sule, he's way better. They pose way more threat. Wrench Rover on the other side. Absolutely love him. He's played phenomenally this season. He's somebody that really works hard, silent. Whenever he gets game time, he plays and he plays well. So put Wrench and Wesley on the flanks. In the middle, Brian and Kone. Of course, Elanawi is off to AFCON as well. So other midfield solutions can be dropping Pellegrini down, but Gasperini's never done it this season. Starting Pizzilli, but I don't think it will happen in this game. And up front, I think Matti, Pellegrini and Ferguson. Ferguson needs to start this game. Starting with a false nine against Bremer, if Bremer starts, is another one of those moves that can be suicidal. I can see Paolo start. But if Paolo starts, he starts ahead of Pellegrini. And therefore it means starting Sule and Dybala next to each other under Ferguson. It can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. But I think Sule, Pellegrini and Ferguson will start. Also, there's something about every time we play Inter in this is not something that I've come up right now. Every time we play away at Juventus, I always have the feeling that Dybala has a mental block because of his past. I don't know what it is, but if there's one game where Dybala has ghosted ever since against a team that he's ghosted every time since he's a Roma player, it's Juventus. I don't remember injuries, non-injuries. I don't remember one good game from Paolo against his former team. So I don't know. I mean, it's not an excuse, of course, but it's an element to consider. I'm not joking. It is, because I think, I don't know. I mean, he loves Juventus, so nostalgia kicking in can be quite important. But in general, I think Sule, Pellegrini and Ferguson starts. Sule super stunner outside of the box. Who do you think should we start in defense? Gilardi or Ziokowski? None of the two. Chelik drops down. I want to see this lineup. I can want Dybala on because Dybala's not a player that you reject. But I want to stick with this because I think it worked very well against Como. That it's kind of, I don't like changing formations that play very well. That's my point. So I want to stick with that one. Of course, unless the changes are forced, like the AFCON players. Dovbyk will be back in a bit. He was supposed to be back for this one, but he won't be ready for it. If we got Raspadori and a jersey, could we play 4-4-2? As I said last time, I think Gasperini is somebody who doesn't change formations. Because he's always played with this formation and he's built his football around this formation. So it's very hard to find him. Like, instead of adapting new formations to let players adapt, it's more he lets players adapt to the way he wants to play. Look at Baldanzi as a false nine. He's got an emergency when it comes to strikers. He's not changing his formation. He's adapting players. So Gasperini is not about changing formation. But I'll tell you that if we get Raspadori and Zirkzee together, it would be a very big reinforcement for January. And I can totally see, Raspadori plays there, but I can totally see Zirkzee playing in that Pellegrini position behind the striker and next to Matti or Paolo. Totally. Zirkzee can play there. We see Zirkzee as a number 9. Gasperini could easily transform Zirkzee into Lookman, absolutely, putting him in that Lookman position. Zirkzee's fast, Zirkzee's technical, Zirkzee can finish. So it's not like if we get Zirkzee starts ahead of Ferguson or ahead of Dovbyk. Zirkzee can easily start next to Sullian behind the striker in that offensive triangle where Lookman played at Atalanta. It could easily happen. In fact, I would actually invite to do that because, as I said before, if you saw Ferguson in that current Pellegrini position, Ferguson will score more goals, and I can guarantee you that. But look, guys, I've actually got a birthday party on Saturday during the game, so I'm gonna check the result and I'm gonna check the game. But of course, I won't, I won't be there watching the game fully. So I will probably film a match reaction the morning after. I'll rewatch the game after I come back home. And I'll film a reaction on Sunday morning. And then I'll wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Because Sunday afternoon, I'm actually going to Dublin in Ireland for 3 days. For a little post-exam deserved break. And then Christmas, and then after the Christmas break, I'll probably take a few days, and I'll reconnect the 27th, maybe 27th of December. I'll reconnect, but I won't wish you a Merry Christmas now, because I will film a match reaction for this game, even though I won't fully be connected to it. I'll rewatch it, and I will have time for a match reaction. So I wish you a Merry Christmas to you and your mates and your families. Then, in the meantime, Forza Roma sempre. This is a massive, 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 massive game, and we need a massive, 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 massive reaction against a team that we hate, 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 hate. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon. See you more.